Hello, everyone. It's Tamika Schilbe, and today I have a special guest with me, a new friend of mine, someone that I respect so much. Her work is amazing, and our topic today is dating. So this is Dr. Tari Mack. Hi, Tari.
Hi. Hi, Tamika.
And I actually met Tari at a Hay House Writers Conference in Orlando, and we were sitting near each other and we started talking about our work, and we had so many things in common, and I got so excited about the kinds of messages and helpful hints and ideas and all her expertise around this idea of dating, in particular for women, but I think this information would be great for anybody. So we're going to have a conversation about it today. So if you or someone else you know is kind of struggling with dating or confused about it, I know I have been in that place many times in my life, then this
Join
might
the
be
club.
Yeah, this might be a great conversation for you to tune into. So Tari is actually a clinical psychologist and living in Ohio, practicing in Ohio. Is that right?
Illinois.
Illinois. Oh my God.
You know.
Why did I choose Ohio? I'm so sorry.
They're probably pretty much the
Not
same.
too far apart. Anyway, she has worked with hundreds of people over the last 15 years, and she has specialized in helping women through the process of dating, and is now writing a book about dating. So her own clinical work, but also having helped so many women, and she's discovered these very important factors that can make or break your ability to find your soulmate. And she herself, and I hope you'll tell us a little bit about your story too. You're happily married and you have two beautiful daughters, and you feel that every woman deserves love, and you're writing the book that is the shortcut to finding the love you deserve.
You got it.
Okay. So Tari, would you start with what made you decide to write this book?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like I didn't even really decide to write the book. The book just kind of wanted to happen, and I kind of clued into that a little over a year ago. So basically, I had my own very rocky journey to finding love. You know, we all have different areas in our life that we struggle with, and finding love was definitely one of mine. It wasn't until I kind of came to my spiritual awakening that I figured out what my specific work was that I needed to do to move forward toward my husband. And thank goodness I realized all of that. And I met him in 2010, and we're married now with two little girls. And it's that experience plus the experience with all these beautiful, amazing women that I worked with over the years that have been on, when I've met them, usually they're on that same rocky journey. And they're just continuing to get in their own way without realizing it, continuing to make the same mistakes over and over again, but not understanding why. And through all of those experiences, I was able to pull out all of these familiar experiences and themes, all these common mistakes that we make, when we're looking for love. And the book is really about how to avoid all of that and identify what your work is so that you can keep moving forward toward your soulmate.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. And
Yeah.
just some of the stories you were telling me from your own journey and also from other women's journeys were so impactful. And I felt I know I've experienced some of those, and I know so many women that are in the throes of that right now. So it's so important, the work you're doing, and not just to get the man or get the woman, depending on your orientation, but really to that whole idea of working on ourselves and what this whole process can teach us about us.
Yes.
It's big.
That's really what it's about. It's not about, getting a man or finding a man. It's really about, connecting to ourselves and realizing we have the power. We can find the love. We can move toward the love. We just have to know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
So I know that the book is a big body of work. It's a lot of different concepts, or not like it's very readable and organized and beautiful and stepwise. But can you pick out just a few or a couple of those today that you feel like you want to share around here? Women need to know this, and this is like a common mistake or something that you think would be really helpful for women.
Sure. So the first, I think the biggest concept that I would, I wish I could just hand to every woman and help them understand. I wish someone would have handed me this concept, years ago, is that every man is a test. And what I mean by that is two things. First of all, if we want to find our soulmate, we have to hold space for our soulmate. And that means that once we, part of the book is talking about asking for what we want and identifying and getting clear on what our soulmate looks like and asking the universe. And then after that, the universe gets to work on our behalf, to make all the connections. And we don't know how we're going to find the soulmate, but the universe is going to help us. And part of the way the universe helps us is by beginning to send us men to date in the form of tests in the form of men. And usually we get a lot of almost men, like men that almost match what we want. And it's really hard to say no, to say, oh, he's so perfect, but he doesn't want to have kids. And I know I really want to have kids. So it's not a match and I have to move on. So part of the test is moving on, when it's clear that somebody isn't treating us the way we deserve to be treated, or they can't give us what we want. But the second part of the test, and that's what the bigger book is about, each chapter is kind of a common mistake or area of work that we as women need to work on. Some of us need to work on some things and not others. But so each man gives us an opportunity to do our specific work. And the book will help you figure out what that is, whether it's pacing, partner choice, and how our unconscious chooses men. We say we want one thing, that we keep feeling attracted to another kind of man, or choosing a different kind of man that can't really give us what we want. So each time we meet somebody, we get a chance to do something differently and break the old pattern, either to slow down our pace or to set better boundaries or to communicate more. Whatever it is, our work is specific to us. And if we can do the work, then we continue to move forward. And if we continue to move forward, we will figure out soon enough if this guy is the guy for us. Once I started to see that in my own life, I have so many stories about the final test before my husband. And it's just so clear now, but I wish I had known that years before, when I was dating and making all the same mistakes over and over again. So that's probably the biggest concept that I would want to hand to women.
I love that.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity here.
Okay, would you mind picking out the pacing one and
Sure.
just saying a little bit about that? Because you mentioned it and it's so juicy, and I think it's so hard.
Oh my God, it's so hard. So pacing was definitely an area of work that I needed to work on, and I finally realized that. So the thing is, we meet somebody and we like them, we have a connection, we have chemistry, and we feel like, oh my God, if it's good now, like it's just going to get better. If we just spend a bunch of time together, like that's all I want to do. But actually, a relationship needs room to grow and breathe, and we need to let it have that room. So if you're spending all of your time together, the relationship doesn't have any room to breathe. And eventually, fear is going to kick in for either you or the other person. And fear, I'm telling you, comes in all forms. We do not recognize it as fear. It can come in the form of all of a sudden not being attracted to this person. It can come in the form of all of a sudden being so aware of how needy this person is, or all their flaws that we didn't notice at first. And our unconscious is going to be telling us abort, like get the hell out of here. And the other piece, so it's spending time together, but also how soon we have sex. And I know some people hate this. This isn't about the rules or like a certain rule book. It's really about paying attention to what you want and letting emotional intimacy grow so that it can hold all the awkwardness of sex and physical intimacy. And again, if you have sex too soon, fear is going to enter the picture for one or both of you. So, things are going great. You're seeing each other a lot. You're having sex and it feels so good. And then all of a sudden alarm bells are going to start going off for one or both people. And someone is going to start pushing away. So if you're not really attuned to the pacing that you take in relationships, you're going to ruin any chance of a budding relationship. So pacing is so important, and it's so hard to do because it feels unnatural, and we want to see someone all the time to pull back and say, no, I'm only going to see you, a couple times a week for now. I'm going to take my time.
Yeah, this is huge. And I think, I think it is a little bit different for women, at least the women that I work with. And I've had this experience myself. When we open our bodies to someone, like we are the container. And so like physically, that's how it works, even on a physical level. But energetically, psychologically, emotionally, we open ourselves up. Whereas the male, if it's a hetero relationship, I want to acknowledge all the relationships types. But if it's a heterosexual relationship, we the man is actually leaving something behind, but we're taking it in. So then we have this energy, with us that can, I love what you said about fear will kick up or fear will come in because we're holding something. And if we don't, it's not about being prude or being religious or something like that. It's like, are you ready to hold that? Are you really ready to hold that? Mm-hmm.
Right. And the other piece is if we move to sex too quickly, in the beginning of a relationship, we're seeing what we want to see. We're not seeing clearly. We see what we want to see. And if you add sex into that, all clear vision goes out the window. And the problem with that is, you never really know somebody until you have your first conflict. There is so much to be learned about the person you're dating and the safety of the relationship when the first conflict occurs. And if you're already having sex, it's going to be a lot harder to step away or set boundaries or to say, this isn't going to work for me. Because once you have sex, you're more attached and you're more invested in being in this relationship. And that's such a common mistake that I see happen over and over again.
I love
and one that I used to make.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've all done this, right? Or most of us have been in these positions. And that's why I love it. I love the work that you're doing. This is so amazing. Is there any final thing that you want to say before we, I think this has been a really nice teaser for your book. Everybody to read it.
Thank you. No, I think, the book is really just about empowering women to do their work and find the relationship that they want. And that's the message. But there's a specific way to go about that.
Yes.
And if you want to read more, I have a blog. It's called The Path of Joy. Probably if you Google it, it won't come up, but it's thepathofjoy.com. And I write a lot about dating, but I also write about a lot of other topics because all the stuff in the book regarding dating is connected to all the bigger stuff anyway, right? Like our life lessons and our truth and connection and, all that important stuff. So you can find me there. Yeah.
And I'll put the link to your website underneath the blog so people can also get in touch with you. Thank you so much. And I'd love to invite people to write to us and tell us in the comment section below, was this helpful for you? Do you resonate with some of this? How will you use this information going forward if you are someone that's dating, or do you remember it in hindsight when you were dating? And it would be great to hear from you and keep the conversation alive. So thank you so much, Tari. And we'll be watching for your book.
All right. Thanks, Tamika.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.